Well, bam! Hello, greetings, my peeps and peepettes, and welcome to the Spotlight review of the Chogokin GX-78 Dragon Caesar under the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers banner. However, it's called Dragonzord, and that's the way it's going to be said throughout this entire video, so deal with it. Anyway, with that said, I've so anticipated doing this review for quite a long time now. As a matter of fact, I was looking to do it next week when the thing would arrive. Having said that, though, it arrived earlier than planned, so I've pushed it ahead of schedule when it comes to other things that I've got to review just yet. Anyway, let's take a look at the packaging as partake of every single video review on this channel. First and foremost, we got Dragonzord in fighting mode's face here, making up a good side of the packaging with what's in front of it, the actual Dragonzord figure itself, incorporating with the Chogokin series, GX-78, Dragon Caesar's name here, I'm assuming, in this nice gold foil. Underneath that, for the American audience, we got Dragonzord in the nice gold foil as well. We got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Zoo Ranger right there, Tamashii Nation, thank you very much for making this, Bandai Japan, ages 15 and plus, which is letting you know that, hey, this is not for kids, and why would it be with all the diecast it has to offer. On the side here, we got that artwork, or not artwork, but we got the image of the action figure, Dragonzord, once again, that's used from front. On the side here, it says Dragonzord, so it's Chogokin. On the side here, it's actually Dragonzord in a different pose, which unfortunately is faded out because of the black here, but you can see a little bit of the feet and the head here, and that's basically it. Once again, Dragonzord GX-78, so it's Chogokin. On the back of the packaging, I can't read any of this stuff, so just look at the nice images on this very high glossy box, which is very nice. So we got Dragonzord in fighting mode with a very nice screen accurate drill staff, which is pretty cool. Dragonzord showing off the combinations with Saber-Tooth Tiger, Triceratops, and Mastodon to create Dragonzord in fighting mode, which I should have said first. And we got Megazord with the combination to make Mega Dragonzord using Dragonzord for the head. And then we've got Dragonzord in fighting mode yet again here for some specific reason. I'm not so sure what that is. Actually, no, let me go ahead and correct myself here. When it comes to this packaging, that's the toy-styled Dragon Spear thing. And this is actually the screen version of the spear thing, right? Anyway, yeah. There's a reason for all that in the review. I will show it off as I should. So anyway, before we take a look at Dragonzord, we do also have the instructions here, which is on that very nice glossy paper here. We got some information here. We got the Dragon Coin in the back. And there's really no reason to show this off, but I'm going to anyway, just so I can say I did. And that's the reason why this video is going to go overtime from what was expected. But yeah, some very nice printing here, all in color, which is what you should actually see from Hasbro. But hey, Hasbro doesn't do it that way. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, it does highlight exactly what parts are actually being moved on this set, as you can see, in a nice pink tint here instead of the actual color of the toy itself. So, it's letting you know that this is moving, that's moving, and it does warn you of certain things that may actually mess up your set if you're not careful, as like tumbling in this combination, which I have yet to see from my set. Tumbling here with the combination of the drill and then that chest piece of Dragonzord for this whole set here, which is where it actually ends. There doesn't seem to be another page showcasing this whole combination here, which is just kind of awkward. But yeah, there's more than that. There's also a little notification here letting you know that the paint may rub off on the set if not careful with the combination into Mega Dragonzord. And then there's also one for somewhere around here. Yeah, anyway, it's somewhere. I just can't find it. It's not really important, but anyway, yeah, there you go. Some nice instructions that does go completely through the set without any confusement. So, let's bring in Dragonzord now, as we're almost 5 minutes into the video. And look at this thing. Look how gorgeous this is. Now, if I was to compare it with Legacy Dragonzord, you will definitely tell a night and day comparison's difference. Somehow I sound like I butchered that pretty bad, but hey, it just slipped of the tongue. But yeah, anyway, I do not have the Legacy Dragonzord anymore. As a matter of fact, I don't have any Power Rangers Legacy items anymore. Only because I'm looking forward to the future There's a lot that happened over the weekend that I would love to go through and talk about, but I think that deserves a video on its own time. But anyway, yes, the only two items that remains when it comes to Power Rangers toy-wise is basically the Soul Chogokin series in my collection, Megazord and Dragonzord. It's the whole reason I got Dragonzord is because I got Megazord. I want the combinations. And it's also nice that they have officially announced that they will be releasing next year a Titanus set for a pretty good price too. $300. Right. So, anyway, Dragonzord is a beast in this mode, as it should be. This is the primary mode for this mold here. It should look as screen accurate as possible, and they really nailed it. Regardless of the shiny chrome and all that, I get it, guys. That's not show accurate, but it does really make this set pop, and that's what the Soul Chogokin line is basically known for, is all the diecast and all the shiny pieces that they could offer in a pretty fair price range. You know, I've paid worse for other things that are actually not good, and I could go through the details about that, but then I'd be wasting time. So stay on topic here. Let's just go about looking at all the detail that is offered on Dragonzord here. Now, when it comes to detail, I really don't think there's any differences compared to the Legacy Dragonzord. Everything that was on that is pretty much here, just amplified, if that's the way to actually say it. I mean, the articulation's amplified, the paint job is definitely amplified. It's just overall, it's a major improvement. It's like taking Legacy Dragonzord and pretty much, like I said, amplifying it to the max, or as far as it can actually go for the asking price of this set. It's an incredible piece, and I just love it. Now, with that said, I may love it, but I do have a little bit of some nitpicking that I have to talk about in this video. So there are certain things about this set that does rub me the wrong way, but before we get to that stuff, let's talk about some key details, which is basically the diecast. I will try and point out everything that I can about this set that is diecast, and there are some places where it looks like it's diecast and it's not diecast. There are some places where it looks like it's not diecast and it actually is diecast. Starting off with the head. This entire piece right here, all this black plastic is not plastic. This is complete diecast, bringing a lot of heft to this set. Now, having said that, I would appreciate it had the hinge joints here been actually diecast, but no, these are actually some very thin plastic, especially here at the arms. This is all that's actually holding this thing together here, is just this piece here. These hinges and just this middle piece. Those are what is supporting the shoulders of Dragonzord. If these break, this set is finished, unfortunately, because it is not diecast. This back piece here feels like it's diecast. I'm still not sure about it, but I can say that the front piece is actually diecast. It's very nice. This front piece is diecast as far as I know, but it doesn't really feel as cold as diecast parts would actually become after a while, but it still somehow feels like it's actually diecast in a way. This piece here is not diecast. The Legacy one was diecast, which was one of the problems with the set. The toes are actually diecast, which obviously you can tell by the difference in the color here. The connector ports are diecast as well, and they can actually push in a little bit further. You can hide them really well in there. The problem is, if I push them any further inside here, it's going to be really difficult to get this stuff out. And that's I knew for a fact that there are going to be parts on this set which you really got to have fingernails in order to pry it open very easily. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that this top section here, the actual back piece, the Dragonzord's head, looks like diecast. It's not diecast. It's just very nicely vac metallized painted plastic. So outside of that, I think I've pretty much explained all the diecast pieces on Dragonzord itself. Not much else to really say about it, but the detail overall really does make this thing really good, especially with the amount of the insaneness of the articulation that could be offered on this thing. Now, as we know in the show, Dragonzord is not articulated at all. I mean, for the stunt actor that had to be placed in that suit, I'm sure it had to be a living nightmare to move around. But having said that, even though they did go as screen accurate as possible with this Dragonzord piece, the fact is, it does actually play out in the terms of the Soul Chogokin series when it comes to high detail, very nice diecast parts, and loads of articulation. Now, we're not going to get all that for sure, but we do get a fair amount of articulation, which is so much more than could be offered than the Legacy figure. So with that said, let's go for the obvious. First of all, we do have the opening and closing jaw, as you would, due to transformation for Dragonzord in fighting mode. You do have a hinge joint here, and that extra hinge joint, which you want to be very careful, but you can get some movement. You also got this hinge joint for up and down movement, about that much, which I gotta say, the Legacy one was a lot better here when it comes to shoulder movement, but that's as much as you're gonna get, and what do you expect? Anyway, we also have the elbow joint that does get 90 degrees on a very nice click here, because there's a tab here, which, you know, actually locks it right in place there. But something new that I just discovered not too long before starting this video is that if you do have it all the way out at a 90 degrees at the elbow joint, you have a swivel. It doesn't do much, but hey, it's there. Very cool. I'm learning new things about this before even starting the video, which was amazing. Do have a hinge joint due to transformation at the hands. They do also have a ball joint to allow pretty good movement. Fair amount. Pretty much equal there with Legacy Dragonzord. However, Legacy Dragonzord's got nothing on this part here. If you untab this chest piece and move it out just a little bit more, there's actually a very nice hinge joint incorporated into Dragonzord, where it allows an ab crunch. That's right. This Dragonzord has a freaking ab crunch. That's so good. However, that is the part that I was actually trying to showcase in the actual instructions, which I will show real quick. There it is. This is what I was trying to show you earlier that I couldn't find. But yeah, if you're not careful with that chest piece, rubbing against the crotch piece, it's going to take the paint off. So just be forewarned about that. Make sure that you have enough clearance before you actually start bending this hinge joint here for the ab crunch. Otherwise, you're going to have complications later on, and your Dragonzord just isn't going to look as pretty as mine. Right. So anyway, let's tap that back in and get back to the articulation on this guy. And that basically comes in the term of the legs here. Now, let's talk about the legs. You do get a pretty good amount of movement when it comes to the hip joint, but the incorporation of it for the execution of the design does build up some controversy, just because they wanted to keep this as screen accurate as possible for the toy, and it does have a lot of hindrance at the whole entire hip. So you do have this hinge joint for some inward and outward movement here. As you can see, it does swivel like a thigh joint, but it's not. But that's only so you can actually lift this up and then bend it out this way. And then, and only then, can you actually start messing around with the inward and outward movement at the leg. So, again, there's diecast as well. That piece right there is actually diecast, and I am very glad that it's diecast. Otherwise, this toy will not last. So, this whole diecast piece is what allows some inward and outward movement. Now, you're not going to get any JCVD seal quality here, people, so I am going to have to put this down here just because I have to keep it straight with you. But it does allow, if you reset it, you do get a little bit of a split rather than just the natural ace stance here. It's a really nitpicky area when it comes to the articulation of the legs, but I get what they were going for here, and it does work. It's just, it's fidgety. Let's put it that way. It's just fidgety. It's a good execution, but it could have been so much better had they took a little more time and effort into working with these hip joints here. Regardless, though, it doesn't really hurt the figure. It's just a nitpick. Anyway, back to the articulation. So, you may not get any JCVD splits, but you do actually get some nice movement going forward. But nothing going back because the butt just gets in the way, and so does the tail as well. Again, you do have that inward and outward movement there, so there you have that. Lifting the legs up, and I can show off that you do have a very good knee bend here. If this piece was actually folded in all the way, You could actually get 90 degrees of bend, which is very nice. This is actually a wheel, people. This piece does move for some reason, but hey, very cool. And then at the legs, you also have a hinge joint, which I'm going to show off as soon as I get this resetted, because this is a heavy beast. But yeah, there's a hinge joint for ankle rocker pivot. But having said that, down below that, you do have a ball joint section. So you do get a swivel, and you do get some up and down movement. Not much, but hey, enough to actually get some good poses with this guy. And he can pose pretty good. I know that's one thing people were probably going to be asking me. Can he be posed? Yes, he can be posed. A lot more than the Legacy one. The only thing is, though, no head articulation, as all Dragonzords should be, I guess. But that's not it for articulation. We're not done. Oh no, we gotta talk about the tail. Now, the tail does have quite a bit itself. It's got a very nice clicking joint. About 2 each going up and down on the tail, which is very nice. So, it's very tight as well. It does stay locked in place. As you can see, he balances pretty well. Especially with these heel spurs. Very nice. It doesn't swivel, unfortunately, but hey, it is what it is. You get a lot more to make up for that down here with the ball joints. That does allow so much more movement than the Legacy one. You ain't going to get this tail to come swinging forward, but it is a lot more than what the Legacy Dragonzord had to offer. And this tail piece didn't come out. There we go. Now it's moving around. So, yeah, I mean, again, swivel. On the ball joint, you do get a lot of flex. You can make it look like the tail is broken or something, but hey, why would you do that? But if you wanted to, if you want to be that sick, hey, more power to you. So, again, Dragonzord has a lot to offer in this. Regardless, though, of all the good things that I have mentioned about Dragonzord here, we do have one little nitpick. Well, besides the hip joint. Okay. And it's got to do with the size of Dragonzord. As you can see, the Tyrannosaurus Zord, it's, you know, in the show, they would be equal in scale. And so would Dragonzord in the Megazord comparisons as well. But, you know, it can't be done. It just can't be done. Right. So, anyway, it is what it is. But these two do look good next to each other. They really do. Very nice companions. But we're not done there. I'm going to show off the rest of the Zords just so I can say I did. There's Triceratops compared to Dragonzord. Here's the saber-toothed tiger. Here's Mastodon. And finally, here's the pterodactyl compared to Dragonzord. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to one of the accessories that the Dragonzord has to offer, and that's some interchangeable hands, just like the Legacy one. Now, these are actually the default hands that would be stored with Dragonzord upon opening the box. I just like the actual natural posing hands that look like real hands rather than just what the toy is. Regardless, though, it would have been nice if we had these molded yet again with some maybe some rocket fingertips, just like in the show, but that wasn't in the budget, I guess. Would have been nice, even if they were just pop in little rocket tips here to give him his rocket fingernails. That would have been something, but still, to this day, no one has tried it. Anyway, what you can do, which I'm going to showcase, is that you can pop it off the ball joint like so, and take the toy-styled hand here. And I like to push the hinge up all the way as possible, just so I can keep it in place rather than it moving on me here. Because this connection, it's quite a chore, actually. The ball joint seems just a little more bigger than the actual hole here, so getting it in there is quite the fight. And finding the natural position to hold the arm in place to do this is very difficult as well. Actually, that wasn't hard at all. But yeah, for the first few attempts, it was very difficult, and I really felt like I was going to break the ball joint. But this thing is made of some top seal quality plastic. I mean, this is some really good stuff. I think it could take a beating, except for maybe a drop. But yeah, really nice. Alright, so moving right along with the very first combination mode, we're going to take Dragonzord into Dragonzord in fighting mode, as you can tell by the obvious pieces we're going to be using. Anyway, I really shouldn't have to do this, but there is some major changes when compared to any other Dragonzord figure of the past that does actually make it worthwhile to see. So first of all, let's go ahead and start off by the simplest part of the transformation. We're going to move the arms out here so we can flip up the forearms and flip in the missile firing hand. Let's go ahead and fold this in like so. The same here. Just like that. Get enough clearance. Alright. So, next thing we can do is come back here, lift up the tail, and remove it. Be careful doing that. And we'll just go ahead and tab all these back in place, and we will see this again in a little bit. So say bye-bye for now. Right. So we take the connection port here, which is actually plastic on this one. So these are die-cast, and that's plastic. I don't know how well that's going to hold up over time, but we'll see. Anyway, take it up all the way. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to split apart Dragonzord like we always do. Remove the center chest piece, and we'll see that again in a little bit. Right. So we're going to tab all this back in place like that. Come and bring this section forward, his arms, to create his new chest piece. Very nice tab. There we go. It's a very nice connection. Now what I like to do is I like to go ahead and just transform the head. So what we're going to do is flip down his jaw, and then we're going to flip down the other piece that's above that. So as you can see, there it is. But what we're also supposed to do as part of the transformation by the instructions is we're supposed to get our fingers up here and slide down the visor piece. Just like that. Now remember, when you go about transforming this thing back to Dragonzord mode, what you want to do is flip up the visor. That way, everything goes right back in place. Because if you don't do that, the eyes are not going to match up with the red visor piece. So it's going to look awkward. And you may even go about scratching that. But yep, that's how it's done. So this is different. This is actually quite unique. This has never been done as far as I know. So you have to bring down the face and then bring down the visor piece, which is amazing. Right. So anyway, we're getting there. What we want to do now is get a little clearance with the knees so we can flip up these pieces here, which does stay in place. Very nice, very tight connection. And the best part about this is that once you go about flipping up his knee, bringing it inside here, you would think that just like the Legacy one, it wouldn't lock in anywhere. But if you give it a good push here, it locks right into place. That's right. Eat that, Legacy. So flip this panel up again, bring in his leg, and then push and click right into place. Take the connection ports, bring them down like so. There we go. And now we're pretty much ready. So let's do this. What we're going to do is we're going to take Triceratops and plop him in. Saber-tooth tiger. Plop it in. You can also fiddle around with the knees if you want. He does have knee joints, so if you want to, you can try and balance him out that way. I'm going to raise this up so we can get the rest of this done. Rotate, turn it back here so you can see this. Not much of a connection going on back here for the back section, but there is a groove there that keeps this right in place as you go about tabbing in from the side here around the shoulders, like so, just like that. And Rangers, I give you Dragonzord in fighting mode. Yes! Look at this beast! It's a heavy beast as well. Look at that. Man, we got some heft going on here. A bunch of chunk. That is nice. It's really good. It's as very screen accurate as it can get in this toy form. It does not insult you as well for the Solo Chogokin line. You do get a lot of play out of this mode. It's as much as the Megazord, minus maybe a waist swivel. And of course the head doesn't due to the way that it's designed. There's just no way to get any movement going on here. And if you do look really closely, you can notice that there's actually a gaping hole right there in the back. Now, there is a way to overcome that. There is this back panel piece here that you can slide down. And it does cover it up just a little bit, but because it's not part of the instructions, at least not in this mode, I'm just going to flip it right back up to keep this piece in place. And by that, I mean the head crest here, to keep that locked in place. Right. So, It's a really good looking figure from all sides, especially with how clean it is on the back, minus that little doohickey there. But yeah, he is balancing pretty well. I mean, yeah, he's not up straight right now because you have to fiddle around with him. But again, with all the points of articulation on this figure, you can get a wide range of play with this guy. You can display him in many ways that you want. And let's not forget also, it does help out with countering the balance of this figure because he is pretty top heavy. So it's a good thing that this Solar Chogokin line does play with articulation as well. It's a fair play. Let's just go ahead and get to it. Why not? So, again, nothing at the head. It's to be expected. Even the suit in the show couldn't do anything here. But you do have some very nice clicking joints at the shoulders. You do have some inward and outward movement as well, which is pretty good. You got a swivel joint, or should I say a bicep swivel joint, which is nice. You got single jointed elbows that does get 90 degrees of bend. Got ball jointed wrists. You got individually articulated fingers. Well, they're not individually, they're all on one piece, but hey, you get the idea. And then you got ball jointed thumb, which you can get all the movement you want, especially a thumbs up pose. Yay, look at that. That's nice. So you have that. Nothing at the waist due to transformation. That's to be expected. But I haven't tried this yet, so let's find out. This is actually live doing this part. Oh, look at that. You do get the ab crunch feature in this mode. Oh, you are such a blessing. Anyway, we do also have that awkward hip movement as well. But again, just like Dragonzord, if you put it in certain ways, you can get as much as possible that it can offer. Again, just like in the show, you really can't get that much movement out of the costume itself, but you do get at least pretty good range of bend at the knees. Not 90 degrees, but it's enough. It does hold. And then, of course, at the feet, you do have ball joint movement here. So you do get some up and down movement. You get your side to side. And then, of course, you have the same thing here on the saber-tooth tiger. So, you know, again, a pretty good range of movement. There's a lot that you can do with this set that you just could not do with the legacy ones. We've got to showcase this chest piece because there's something amazing incorporated within this thing. And that is, if you flip this panel up, it's actually the staff handle bit in here, and the way that it's designed, and it does feel like diecast, at least this piece here, is that it creates, again, the handle to the dragon's drill spear thingamajig. And then this is where you want fingernails, so you can get this piece to come out, fold this piece out like so, flip this back in, and there's your handle. And there's the connection port for what I'm about to show next, which is, yeah, the tail, obviously. So as you can see, we got this groove here for the front of this section, and then of course the connection port will connect right in there. So get that to tab in, just like so. And here we have a murderous sized drill spinning staff of doom for your Dragonzord in fighting mode. Very cool. Very cool. And it does stand up on its own. No magic. No video editing to do this. No string attached at the top. It's holding on its own just fine. Look at that. You really wouldn't think that these little feet pieces here would actually hold this up, but it does. Pretty cool. Now, by instructions speaking here, you can't do anything with this with the actual Dragonzord in fighting mode. It's just for displaying if you want a toyetic styled drill staff of death. There you have that. So, as I go about bringing this in, we have another option. Just as shown on the back of the box, we do have a screen accurate version of the handle to the drill staff. Pretty cool. Right, so what we're gonna do is what we can do. It's basically untab the tail here, and we'll just put this aside, and we can take it from, actually, the first thing we gotta do is we've got to separate from these two bits here with the tail, like so. So all we got is the ball section here, or the socket for the ball joint, because that's what you got here instead of one of those connection ports. So give it a good push. And there you have your screen accurate version of the powered staff drill thing. I'm gonna have to look this up. It just says power staff. Okay, so we'll just call it power staff, as long as I can remember that. So, with that said, you do have a handle, and just like this one, you can't actually get it to hold it. But again, you can't really do much with this one. But for this one being lighter, you can actually open up the hand here and move the thumb out of the way. You can pop this in here like so. Let me turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing. Put the thumb right there, lock that in place, and it does hold it, like you would come to expect, right? But there's more to that. There's something else that I did discover, and this was actually yesterday. So, what you can do is if you rotate it this way. Now, I know what you're thinking. This isn't going to work. Well, just wait, just wait, just wait. If you want to try and go a little more screen accurate, where the Dragonzord in fighting mode was able to hold the staff with both hands, it is possible. There's grooves all around the handle of this power staff where the fingers will actually slide right in and stay in place as long as you got the thumb down here holding everything intact. And there you go. It can actually hold it. It's a loose connection, but if you fiddle around with it, you can get it to hold it a lot tighter. So, I know I'm failing at this in the video, but I've done this quite a few times already, and it does hold it pretty good. You just, again, you gotta fiddle around with it, find the right spot, the sweet spot, get the thumb in place, like so it stays tightly held in the hands, and then you can do a little bit of some bending here, get it to hold it up. If the elbows were actually tight on the Mastodon, this would be so easier, but yep, there you go. So there you have Dragonzord in fighting mode in its final attack mode, where it takes the power staff and drills a hole into the monsters, which is very disgusting for a kid's show. But yeah, it can be done. Looks really good. Looks so awesome. Now, having said that, as we go about the size comparisons here is the Tyrannosaurus Zord. And Pterodactyl's just going to have to lay on the ground because the feet, the cannons are on the back. As you can see, not even close. That's the only thing that cannot be incorporated in this series is because of the way that the execution has to be done. Scale cannot be a part of it, so you got a very big, colossal Megazord combination compared to the other Zords. In the show, these two would be about the same height, and it can't be done. But hey, there's your size comparisons. Finally, it comes to this. The last thing that we have to look at in this set, and that is the combination into Mega Dragonzord. So here we have the beautiful Solar Chogokin Megazord fully transformed again. And here we have Dragonzord still in this fighting mode from where we left off. So to show you the transformation real quickly, it's a no-brainer actually. Just go ahead and untab this section here. Tap in these arms right here. They don't like to lock in too well on my set. This side likes to pop out a lot. This side will hold pretty good. This one here, not so much. But hey, your results will be different. So, next thing to do is to come in here and, well, first of all, nope. See, I about made that mistake. You want to flip the visor. Well, hold it down, then slide the visor up, like so. See? And then, and only then, do you want to flip all this back up. So the eyes line up just right on Dragonzord, which I'll go ahead and show you real quickly. It's very hard to see, but yeah, they're there. In the right placement. There we have that. Next thing you want to do is take the head crits and flip it up. This piece here, we're going to flip it like that for now. Then, we're going to untab the whole entire crotch piece of Dragonzord, like so. And this is really cool. This part here is something Legacy should have done, but it never did. Because of how difficult it was for the Legacy one, you always had to flip it upside down to put the whole entire headpiece on the Megazord, which was very difficult to actually transform. Now, having said that, what Bandai Japan actually did here was when you get it to a certain range, it locks. It locks. It locks! Now, I will say it's not a completely good design. As you can see, it does come down pretty easily, but the fact that it gives you a chance to put this on just right instead of having to flip it upside down and battle the weight here is quite astonishing. So let's do that again. Very nice. Right, so now that we have Dragonzord just like this, we're going to put him aside for a moment so we can work on Megazord. And what we need to do is quite simple. What we do is we fold down the arms all the way till they're straight. And then what we do with the shoulder bits is we fold them in just like that. And now with that, we take the headpiece to Megazord and we fold it back as if we're going back into Tyrannosaurus mode. They should click in just like that. Rotate this sucker around so you can see this. What we're going to do next is we're going to untap the tail and fold it down. And we'll come back to that. And with that, that's all we really need to do to Megazord. So let's go ahead and do this. So what you want to do is you want to come from the front. And the head crest of Megazord is going to come out first and foremost. And it mentions this in the instructions. If you don't start with the front first, you're going to damage something. Something's going to get rubbed off like the paintwork. 2 tabs on the collar section, just like that. There we have that. Everything's sitting just nicely here. Staying balanced just fine without me holding it, which is nice. Come to the back section. And this bit that we were messing with earlier is going to tab in the placement on the back where the tail was for the Tyrannosaurus. Just like that. Take the tail of the Tyrannosaurus, flip it up, and that little tab is going to go into a little slot right there in that back piece of Dragonzord. Just like that. Come back around. And I'm going to readjust the legs here so he'll hold up just fine. Okay, now what we can do is we can take this hinge here from the crotch section, fold it down, just like that. Readjust the hip section as I still have it splayed too far out for this mode. There we go. Do the same thing on this side here, fold it down. This one is very tight here. I'm not worried about it getting damaged or anything. Just got to take it really slow. That's all. Problem solved. There we go. Okay. Readjust to your liking. Which I like mine. Just the way it is. Like this. Have these flipped up. Okay. And then back this all up. Make sure the head crest is still straight up. And then I'm going to readjust the feet here to Megazord. And holy moly, this figure's got some heft to him. But regardless, there it is. There is Mega Dragonzord in its full-on combination. As silly as it looked in the show, it's as cool as it looks in toy form as well. It's just so awesome. And it holds up just so good because of the locking positions within the knee of the Dragonzord's legs. Keeps everything locked in place. It has diecast. Not too much diecast to overdo it like the Legacy one, so it does hold up pretty well. The only thing is, yeah, as you can see, it's kind of lopsided from the right side, so I don't know what I can do about that. It's probably just something that I've got positioned wrong with the legs or the knees, or maybe it's just my platform is sloping. But regardless, even with that, it's still holding up just fine. It really does. And you still get the full-on form of articulation as you would come to expect with Soul Chogokin Megazord, minus the arms. You do get some up and down movement, and that's pretty much it. And you don't really get that much either. Those tabs right there, which you may actually see on Dragonzord's piece there, does actually get in the way. And if you're not careful, it will start to move the headpiece of Dragonzord off the Megazord. And you don't want that rubbing around anywhere on the head of the Megazord, because chances are it could take the paint with it eventually. But if you wanted to, as long as you're careful, you can get some movement here. So that's about as much as you're going to get. And it does make sense because, as you know, Megazord does have its whole arms holding out when it's holding the chain of Titanus, which I can't wait to add to this set to complete the masterpiece. This is what Legacy should have been. It really should have been just like this. And we're not done here. Yeah, I know. We're not done here. There's still something else that needs to be done. We take the chest of Dragonzord, and we take this, pretty much, the tip section of the tail of Dragonzord, like so, and then untab once again from these two sections here. What we're going to do is take this now, and we're going to tab it in. A very tight connection. Still works, though. See? Very nice. So, here we go. This whole thing. Right. I never did like this, but hey, I got to show it off anyway. It completes the review. And this is going to build up quite some heft for the front side of the Zord, so we're going to flip out the connection part again. I'm going to take this whole section here, and we're going to flip this panel down. So now we got this little socket here that's going to go right into that connection port. As long as you got all this lined up, actually, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to fold this down, and then you take the leg section here and you actually click it up one. That's actually how it's instructed. So that way, as I straighten out this connection port now, we should be able to take it, jot it right in here. Very tight connection, but it can be done. And then you angle this just right. And you should be able to. It keeps going up, but it's supposed to come out one more click. Because there's a groove right there that lines up the foot of Dragonzord to have this in the right placement. And as you can see, he's not toppling over, but as you can see, he is leaning quite forward. Which is a little bit of a complication with this mode, because it drives these joints to want to fall. So let me lean him back, because he's got knee joints. Suck on that, like you can see. But yeah, once again, one click forward, all the way down. Bring this socket straight down to the middle, like so. Readjust Megazord again, because again, this is heavy. There's the groove right there for the front. There's the socket hole right there for the connection part. Tab it in. And here is the completed and unused version of Mega Dragonzord mode. I never saw it use this in the show. Never. At all. And you really can't do anything in this mode either. It's not like you can actually move these forward. I mean, maybe you could, but it's not enough clearance to actually get the legs all the way up to where the drill is actually in the front, where it can attack an enemy. It's just not done. There's one other thing I forgot to show off. One more thing. I promise. And it's the whole reason why this isn't working out too well is because what you're supposed to do as instructed is you're supposed to take the legs of Megazord and slide them out, and that should help balance out everything. That's how it's done in the instructions, and I'm sorry I forgot about that part, but it's not the first time I've done that wrong. But as you can see, he's holding up pretty good on his own. Just like that, with so much heft in the front. You'd think it wouldn't be possible, but hey, the magic is actually happening. Bandai Japan pulled it off. The Sword Chogokin line really has nailed it. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's the way that I wanted the Legacy one to be, but it just couldn't be done. But it just, here it is, at long last. Again, there could be some things that could have been done better over time if a little more time and effort was put into it. But regardless, I'm very pleased with this set. I love it, and I cannot wait to have the full-on combination of Ultra Zord next year. It's too bad we gotta wait that long, but hey, regardless, it's very cool. It is so cool. I really do love this. There's really no better way to end this video than to showcase these two beauties next to each other. And as you can see in the final scale comparisons, no, this isn't accurate at all. Which, again, it's not the important part about this at all. It would have been nice if they could have found a way to incorporate scale in this line, but when it really comes down to it, this Dragonzord offers everything that I want and then some when compared to the Legacy one. I have my nitpicks about it, but that's to be expected when it comes to a high price set here that does have a little bit of some complications here and there and some things that does rub me the wrong way. But it's not a deal breaker. None of it is. These are two sets that you definitely want to own because they give you more bang for your buck and more of the value when it comes to cost of play. It is so cool. So amazing. Very nice displayable pieces. The only thing that scares me is whether or not I actually want to put these in my curio cabinet because it is made of glass and so are the layers on each row, which means if this is pretty heavy, it might crack right through, and then there goes this set and my cabinet. I don't think I want to take that chance, so I don't know exactly where I'm going to be displaying these things for a while because every other section of this room is pretty much occupied with something, and then of course there's stuff that I have to review very soon that's pretty much piled on that and piled amongst other things, and it just keeps going. It's a never-ending story. Anyway, to wrap this up real quickly, is it worth it? It is, only if you can afford it. If you can't, go with the Legacy one. But be forewarned, there's going to be some complications, things that are really going to disappoint you, probably even piss you off, like all the heavy diecast in the feed won't allow certain modes to actually stay put, which, you know, that was the real deal breaker right there with that. Even though I did give my praise to the Legacy Dragonzord, owning this in hand really just, it makes me realize everything I said about Legacy Dragonzord was a mistake, minus the fact, again, that it was the time. So, you know, if you're not made of money, the Legacy Dragonzord isn't a bad alternative, and we still have yet to see what Hasbro has to offer in their Power Rangers line, so we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe we might get a Lightning Collection Dragonzord, and Megazord, and Titanus. Maybe they'll go all out. Who knows? I can't wait for the Lightning Collection to start popping in, but we've still got quite a little bit. Regardless, though, these are going to look really nice standing behind the Lightning Collection until Hasbro comes up with something. But again, this is all just crossing your fingers at this moment because who knows what they have to offer. In the meantime, these are pretty, and I do recommend that you go pick them out if you can afford it. Don't break the bank. That's all I'm telling you. So, questions or comments, you know what to do. Hit it down below in the comment section of the video. If you like today's video review, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to give me a sub up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Don't forget to throw in the towel. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell because YouTube's being a real pain again, unfortunately. Anyway, until the next video review, which shouldn't be too long from now, this is the unprofessional toy reviewer, Reddish Power, signing off saying thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you whenever you see me.